Hustlers, on today's episode of the Turn Up the Hustle podcast, we have a San Antonio native who started with a troubled childhood and got caught up in the fast life. That led to 2 felonies and 8 arrests before his breaking point and decided to turn his life around. He is now coming up being 10 years sober. Today, he's a serial entrepreneur running multiple businesses, including community festivals, hosting concerts, and a transportation business. On today's episode, MikeAnthony. Welcome to the Turn Up the Hustle podcast, where real estate investors and entrepreneurs share their stories, strategies, and mindset behind their hustle. I'm Michael Yanis, aka Mr.Hustle. To my right, Scott Moon.
Let's go.
And today's special guest, MikeAnthony.
Man, I appreciate it, man.
No,
Love
we
it.
appreciate you being here, man. I'm excited for this podcast and all the stuff that you got going on. But before we get into it, for those who don't know, my hustle is real estate flipping, wholesaling, and subject to. What is MikeAnthony's hustle?
Man, my hustle is promoting, networking, building relationships, giving back, and my transportation business.
Transportation business. Okay. So before all of that, before the promoting, before the festivals, and AKA Festival King, when I hear your name coming around, who was MikeAnthony before all the festivals, before all the promoting and networking?
Man, you know what? A troubled kid, probably, if anything. You know, so before getting into the promotions and marketing, it was trying to figure out who I was and where I wanted to go in the direction. So it took a while, but, you know, at the end, it's just a matter of meeting the right people that can actually elevate you and get you into that next season in your life. So, but at first, had that gray area to where just didn't know at first. I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, when you're a teenager, you think you're going to do one thing, and then when life hits you, and life hit me at a young age, and that just kind of made me think about, okay, what's the direction that I'm going to go into, you know?
Now, let's talk about little MikeAnthony, right? When you say troubled kid, what's the growing up looking like?
Man, you know what? Growing up, I had God bless my mom. She'd been passed away over 10 years, and she raised us really well. You know, she raised us on the belief of sharing is caring. So always giving back, and no matter what you do. So even till this day, everything I do is all about giving back. So helping the community out all the time. But as a kid, you know, had a roof over her head. You know, she provided whatever she could. And it was, for me, I had learning disabilities as a kid. And like CMC, didn't like to read, didn't like to talk in front of anybody. And then just, you know, kind of just develop a personality in middle school. Then came at like a class clown in a way. And then just getting in trouble. And my mom, she didn't care that I got in trouble. She just wanted me to always take accountability of it. So her thing was, you get in trouble, just take accountability. Say you did something wrong and we'll go figure it out. Or, you know, if you don't know something, just ask. Or even with grades, man, I remember as a kid, she would tell us, we actually had friends would get paid to get good grades. You know, and I'd be like, hey, Mom, like my friend over here is getting $5 for an A. And she goes, that's cool. She goes, but if you want to be dumb on your own. She's like, I'm not going to pay you anything. So I'm like, you know, life lessons, you know, at a young age, like if you want to do good, do good. And she didn't put any pressure on that, you know. So, but getting in trouble, when I say in my younger age, is based on my young adulthood. You know, I had my very first felony when I was, I think, 19, if I'm not mistaken.
19 years old.
Yeah, 19, 20, man. My first felony. My first time ever getting in trouble with the law. And that's just so crazy.
At 19, how do you know?
Shit. I'm 39.
39?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be 40 this year.
So 39, so 19, that's 20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah.
Blink of an eye, I would assume.
Yeah.
If you actually think about it, right? How fast time flies. Now, at 19, what did MikeAnthony do to get a felony?
Man, just be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
And what happened at the wrong place at the wrong time?
And getting into a relationship that was toxic. So I was going through that first, you know, we've all experienced, maybe some maybe haven't, but you think you're in love at 19 and you find the person that you want, and, you know, and at the wrong place at the wrong time, meaning that I caught, or I don't even want to say it caught, I basically went to my home that I already moved out and my ex-girlfriend at that time, her and I was still trying to figure things out, and she had another guy inside the home.
Were you guys separated?
And so we weren't together.
You weren't together, so you guys were separated. You walk in.
So when I knock on the door, I know there's someone else is in there, obviously, you know. A phone rings. She has her phone in her hand. I open the door more. I see a guy sitting on my couch, and I beat him up, basically. So I got in a fight, beat him up. She goes outside and screams, and my brother is the one who was actually driving me to the house. And when he goes inside, he pulls me off. I do what I thought was right, which was call the cops. So I called the cops, and I tell them what happened, and they tell me to wait at an HEB, and I did.
So you left the place?
Left.
They told you to go somewhere else and wait there?
Go park, wait.
Okay.
And when they see me and my brother's a little bit bigger than I am, so they assume it's him. So like, sir, you're under arrested, and he's like, no, like. I always make fun of him on this part because I'm like, dude, the way he just acted, he was just like, it wasn't me, it was him. And I was like, yeah, it was me. And then get arrested. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought, oh, okay, got in a fight, and that was it. But in black and white, and this is where I got screwed over. Susan Reed was our district attorney at that time. She was giving everybody, first offenders just the hammer, basically. And so in black and white, it is a burglary with the habitation to commit an assault.
One more time.
So a burglary with a habitation to commit an assault. So if you look at that, if someone just looks at my record right now and they see that in black and white, they're going to think burglary, theft, stealing, an assault, someone that's aggressive, someone that wants to fight. And that's not my character. I mean, it is in a way with the being aggressive and all that, but to protect people that I care about, but not want to start it. And so I didn't have any money at 19, 20. I didn't even know what to do. So I hired a family attorney that didn't do cases like this. He was more of a traffic kind of attorney, like with tickets and DWIs and stuff like that. But I didn't know any better. So I took a plea bargain. And again, they tell me, hey, it's going to be a deferred, but you still got a felony. And at that young age, I'm just like, a deferred. So does that mean that I can still work somewhere or not? So honestly, I did, I want to say I decided to register at Northwest Vista, took a criminal justice class to teach myself what I had. So in that course, former Judge Michael, I want to say his last name is Pena, maybe, gave me some good advice after the semester. And I kept on asking questions related to my case. And like I would ask a question related to the case, but not saying it was about me. And some way try to make it, twist it around. And at the end of the semester, he just told me, he goes, son, you got some shit? I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, I could tell, because every time you asked something, it had nothing to do with our topic. And I was like, yeah. He goes, what happened? I told him what happened. And he tells me, you got two choices. You either go down that route and just live that lifestyle, or you go become something yourself. And I was like, all right, cool. And really, it was depressing. Suicidal thoughts. You can't get hired anywhere, man. You can't even live anywhere. You can't get a home. You can't get nothing. You get rejection after rejection. It was just really depressing at that time. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I really wanted to just end it all. And then I met a couple of years later, I met my best friend, John. He owned a couple of bars and clubs, and I kind of just asked him what he did, how he got started, and then he told me about promotions, and I said, what is that? And he goes, well, you promote clubs and bars. And I think now I'm 22, maybe 23. And he goes, you're old. You can't start. You got to start when you're 17 or 16 in the nightlife. He goes, you're kind of old. He's like, but you go to college? I was like, no. He goes, damn. He goes, so no fraternity, nothing like that? I was like, nah. He goes, you just got to be out every night then. And then that kind of, him and his best friend, Nick, are two people in my life that helped me get into the clubs and bars and the restaurants. And then that's where I started really building a career out of promotions and not just doing it just for free drinks and just because you're around girls and celebrities. No, I actually took it into a business, and All Access I've been doing what I've been doing since 23, but All Access legally been in business for over 12 years now. We're going on our 13th year in May. So, I that first felony made me really think about what I had to do and how to pivot into my life. And then, of course, when you're in your 20s, I mean, after that first felony, I got another one. Then I got in trouble.
You got a second one?
Yeah, I got a second one. Then
well,
I got.
How old were you when you got the first one? 19, you said?
19, 20, I think.
And then the second one?
Something around there. Second one, I don't even remember, like 24, 25 maybe.
What'd you do?
26. The second one wasn't even like anything bad. It was just drug related, It was
I never heard of a good felony.
I know, right?
I never heard of a good felony, man.
I mean, like that's true, but a lot of people out here, I think they put this persona of what they did in the past, and they make it worse than what it is. Like me, I'm very transparent with what I've been through. I don't just make it look like, oh my gosh, 2 felonies, this guy's like a street guy or whatever. Like, no, I'm not pretending to be anybody I'm not. And I think there's a lot of people out here that pretend to be something that they're not, or they got in trouble for something that may not have been even like that serious. They're just the wrong timing, or the law, the justice system is just not good. Yeah. And so with mine, second felony, it was based on prescription pills, and God bless my mom. She's passed away, and I used to take her to the doctor's appointment. So she left some prescriptions in my car, but she had a habit.
Which ones were they?
She had a habit of taking off the labels. So when I got pulled over and they searched my car, they saw a bunch of pills. We're talking about like, narcotics. And so hydrocodones, you're talking about OxyContin, you're talking about the real good shit that people take. Yeah. And she had lupus again, and she had other illnesses. And to me, I thought nothing of it. At 24 or whatever age I was, I thought to myself, those are my mom's. Like, that's not going to, what am I, like, I didn't think I was going to get in trouble. Yeah. And the officer, I forget, when you have one felony, it doesn't look good on the cops.
You already painted a felony.
Yeah. So I could be doing the right thing, and if a cop pulled me over, even to this day, and they looked at my background, they see 2 felonies and other arrests for other stuff that I've been involved, which is DWIs and other stuff. And it doesn't look good on you on black and white. So there's times where cops don't treat me good, which I understand, but I respect cops. Do I like them all the time? No, but I respect them,
Why don't you like them?
And because of that reason.
Because of prejudice?
Being labeled, being labeled when...
Is that cops or is that anybody?
It could be anybody. Yeah.
Guy.
It could be anybody. Yeah. When people label you they don't know who you are and they prejudge you. Yeah. I mean, like that's, you got to get to know people. You got to talk to them, get sit down and do a podcast maybe.
Do a podcast, man, because I didn't know you had 2 felonies and then you just said a DWI.
Yeah. I've been arrested 8 times.
8 times?
Wow.
8 times, man.
Dude.
8 times.
What high school did you go to?
I start doing background checks around.
What high school did you go to? Mm-hmm. Need to understand where you came from.
High school. I mean, the high school had nothing to do with
I'm just curious.
the background. I went to a white school, O'Connor.
A white school?
Yeah. O'Connor High School in Helotes.
You're San Antonio native, right?
Yeah, born and raised in San Antonio.
All right, second felony, and then 8 times. It's a lot of times, dude.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't know you get arrested that many times.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, but when you're living a fast lifestyle, and you're drinking and doing drugs and you're in the nightlife, and granted, some people may not experience that. My best friend lived the nightlife and has clubs and bars and never been arrested, for anything serious. So there's people out there that know how to be good on it,
Never been arrested?
Skylar, you probably never been arrested either. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? There's some people that just are okay. Me, it was not the case, Yeah. And
you own the club, so I know you. That was a different Skylar back then.
Story has nothing to do with anything, but I remember exactly where I was at. I got my first speeding ticket. Dude, I was on Walsham Road, And you know my background. I moved out. I was, homeless and whatever. Graduated, finally got a truck, and so I'm driving around. And I don't know why. I was always just speeding. And I was on Walsham Road, right there in front of Christian World. Is like the church is right there. I pulled into their parking lot, and the cop comes over, and I could not control myself. I'm like shaking, dude. I was like 16, 17, dude. I'm like shaking. I get my ID. He's like, "Son, did you just murder someone?" And I said, "No, sir. No, sir, I did." I can't. And I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing? Why are you shaking?" I couldn't stop. He's like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm just really nervous right now." And sure enough, it was just a speeding ticket, but I'm one of those goody two-shoes guys. I cannot
See, and that's good. For me, when again, going back to my brother, when he was like crying and I make fun of him to this day, I'm like, he's like, he did it. I'm like, man, you just a bitch, basically. I was like, dude, it was like, you should have just been like, no, it's not me, it was him, or whatever. Like, don't cry. Like,
just the way about it, yeah.
But I get it. For me, I mean, I left at the house at 17. I didn't get kicked out. I left the house at 17 because I didn't want to follow rules.
Yeah.
And then when you don't want to follow rules and you just, live that life, and there's a lot of things I did on the side that I shouldn't have done. But, I think everything that you do in your life shapes who you are today. So there's no regret of anything. It's just when you're at that moment at a young age and you don't have the experience of knowing that it's going to be temporary, it can mess with your mind a lot. But when you start surrounding yourself with winners and people that have good things going on with themselves, that's when you start shifting and thinking like, wow, everything that I did go through was just temporary. And then you're okay with that in a sense.
Out of those 8 arrests,
uh-huh.
Take you to the 8th one. Just say, hey, I need to change. Why so many arrests? Like, right, man, I got to stop what I'm doing and really evaluate what I'm doing with myself. And 8 arrests, that's a lot of arrests.
Yeah, so at one point I had 4 pending cases. So I had the drug possession, I had 2 DWIs, and I had an assault case. So I had 4 different pending cases that were just within less than 2 years. And I remember going to court, and the judge just looked at me in my eyes and said, "You should be in prison." And you already can see that I'm white as hell, but I turned pale. I was like, "Oh, hell no." I was like, "I'm too pretty for prison. There's no way I could do that." And, I got to give a shout out to Nicola Hood, our former district attorney. I have a really good relationship with him. And I hit him up and just said, "Hey, man," I said, "I need some advice and I need your help." And met up with him for lunch. And because of our relationship, he's like, "I can't do anything for you, but I'm going to refer you to a colleague of mine and you go through him." I said, "Okay, cool." And I did. I did everything what Andrew, an attorney named Andrew, he guided me in that direction. He said, "Okay, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go get a hair follicle test. I need you to volunteer yourself with the breathalyzer. I need you to volunteer yourself with a 6-month outpatient program. I need you to get some people to say that your character is good." And that's what I did. And went to the judge and basically presented all that and avoided prison. Did 2 years probation and 6 months in a work release program and 6 months outpatient program. So if anybody doesn't know what the work release program is, it's basically you're going in jail every day. So it still messes with you mentally. So imagine being free for like 6 hours, right? And then after you're free for 6 hours, you got to go back to
that's
jail.
Almost worse, no?
It is because
like teasing you every day with your freedom.
Yes, it messes with your head, and it's not like you go in with your clothes. No, you gotta get butt ass naked, spread your cheeks, show everyone everything, and then put your orange suit on, and then you're with real criminals. You're not with just people that, "Oh, I stole a chocolate bar." No, you're laying down to someone that's a real thug in the streets, or you're laying down with someone that's a rapist or a murderer or whatever. You're not just in there with just people that do harmless
Who had
crimes.
mom's drugs in the car.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically.
Hustlers, real estate investing doesn't have to be overwhelming, and you don't have to do it alone. If you've been watching from the sidelines, scrolling past deals on Zillow, or binging YouTube videos, but still not taking action, this is for you. That's why we built Hustle Academy, a community designed for new and experienced real estate investors who want to learn, network, and grow. Inside Hustle Academy, you'll get weekly live calls, Q&A sessions, and step-by-step classes on fix and flip, wholesaling, creative finance, and my favorite, subject to deals. Everything you need to know to build real skills and start closing real deals. You'll join a powerful group of like-minded hustlers who are sharing wins, breaking down deals, and all pushing toward the same goal: financial freedom through real estate. If you're ready to level up, no matter what stage you're starting at, join Hustle Academy today. Tap the link in the description or visit hustleacademy.com and let's turn up the hustle together.
So it was crazy because I kept to myself when I was in the work release program, but some of the guys, I mean, obviously I stand out. I have nothing wrong with tattoos because I actually want to get tattoos, but no tattoos, nothing looks, suspicious on me, and you know what I mean? And so some of the guys, they just asked me, they said, "What do you do?" I said, "I just, promote, market." "No, what do you do?" I said, "That's what I do." They're like, "No, what do you do?" I said, "Promoting and marketing." They're like, "Ask you one more time, what do you do?" I said, "I own a business." "Okay, that's what we need to know." I was like, "Okay, why?" "Well, go talk to the officers up front. Tell them that you own a business." I was like, "Okay." "They're going to treat you different." I was like, "For real?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, whatever." So when I leave, I tell the officer, I said, "I'm not sure if y'all know this, but I own a few different businesses, and wanted to know if that can help my situation." And the officer says, "What business?" And I said, "All Access Promotions Entertainment, All Access Transportation LLC, 417 Solutions." And then right as soon as I was saying it, he started looking it up. Saw the website, he saw social media, he saw everything. He's like, "All right, we're going to grant you 10 to 12 hours. I was like, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Cool." So it went from a 6 hour, 8 hours to 10 or 12.
What year was this?
So, man, I was 9, 10. It has to be 10 years ago because I'll be 10 years sober. So it had to be in 2015.
16.
Yeah, that'd be 2015 was the last time I got arrested.
Big pinnacle change from last time getting arrested to soberness?
Yeah, that was the reason why I became sober. The last time I was in jail, called an ex-girlfriend of mine. Her name's Crystal, and she was such a sweet girl, like the girl that got away in a way. And my mom loved her, my best friend, all my friends, they all loved her. I just knew I wasn't right for her, and so I let her go. And I remember in jail, she was one of the only people that I knew her number by heart. And I remember calling her, and this is a pivot point and a aha moment. And I call her, she answers. I said, "Hey," and there was a long pause. And then she says, "How did I know it was going to be you?" Another long pause. "Your mom would not be proud." And I was just like, damn. And I just remember like, yeah. And then I got out of jail. And when I got out of jail, I told a few people. And that same day, I went back to the bar. And when I went back to the bar, I just asked God. I said, "God," I said, "can you just please, let me go in to the bar and not buy anyone shots?" Because back in the day, they used to call me Hollywood. And I'd be the guy that buys 10, 20, 40 shots for everybody, bottles and all that. I lived that lifestyle. And then I asked God, I said, "Just can you let me man up? Let me go in there. Let me not buy any drinks. Let me not order any drinks or shots. And just let me just get through the night, please." I said, "This is my lifestyle. This is what I do. I can't go do anything else because of my record. I can't get hired. There's no, even to this day, if someone fill out a resume or application, they still deny me, with all the experience I have." And so I went in there, and that was like one of the longest nights ever. And I just remember just people like, "Hey, get some shots," or "Hey, here's a shot, here's a drink." And I'm just like, "No." And I'm just in the bar, and it just like, it took forever. And then last call. And then after everyone leaves, I go back in my car, I say one more prayer, and I woke up and never just had the desire to drink ever again. Now, granted, it helped based on getting those arrests. That was the reason why I had a change. And in that message that was told to me by my ex, and then just listening and just understanding where I was at, and the outside of people seeing me, I had this good life, which I'm not saying I didn't. It's just I was making careless mistakes at the same time. And I was tired of making those careless mistakes. And then, you worry people that love you. Oh, you're going to be in jail again, or you may end up getting in an accident. You may kill someone because you're drinking behind the wheels. And this is all knowing I have drivers and party buses too. And I was making reckless decisions. And so at first, I didn't know if I was going to stay sober for the rest of my life. It wasn't until a day after CBC at church, I was with some of my sober friends, Chris and Desmond. And Desmond had said, hey, why don't you talk about your sobriety? I said, oh, because my story's not like y'all's. Like, I had no choice. I had to clean up my act. And he goes, yeah, but you should really share it. And I said, I really don't know about that. And he goes, yeah, you should. And then I was like, maybe, And that was when the first conversation I had with someone that actually told me to share it. I didn't want to share it because I didn't know if I was going to stay sober. I didn't know if that was, for me. And I mean, I like drinking, people that drink like to drink. So, and it's everywhere. And being in this nightlife, you're around it all the time. And so I made a decision. I said, you know what, at this moment, that's what I'm going to share. Every time I made a post, and you could backtrack this, any post I've ever made, I always say at this moment. And it's because at this moment, the sobriety has been a blessing. But I just never knew if I was going to continue it. So even though my mom's been passed away for over 10 years, I have a conversation with her all the time. I get signs from her all the time. I believe in that. And I remember one day I get in my car and I said, Mom, my 2 years is coming up, or 3 years, whatever the probation I was on. Said, I don't know if I should say sober or not. What do you think? And then when I get in my car, my Bluetooth didn't connect. And I listened to a lot of inspirational videos in my car and even in my office. And so it didn't connect, and it was the radio. And the radio, they were just saying, congratulations, Eminem, on his 10-year sobriety. And I just remember, he's 10 years? No way. I thought he was doing drugs. I thought he drank. I mean, I like Eminem. Top 5 best rappers of all time. And I'm just not a stan. I didn't know anything about him like that. Yeah. So I quickly looked, and it was true. It was 10 years. So I laughed to myself. I said, Mom, that's crazy. You want me to do 10 years? I was like, all right, I'll do 10 years. And then recently, I told my group of friends recently, like within the past few months, my 10-year anniversary is April 25th. And I've never been baptized, so I asked Pastor Ed to baptize me on April 25th.
I mean, let me pause it, man, because I feel like you're going on and on and on.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Let's have a conversation here.
Yeah.
So you got the felonies, you got the thing, 10 years sober?
10 years on
this
April.
Year.
This year. Mm-hmm.
So kudos for that, because I know that's a lot of hard work, right? So kudos to that crazy sign with their mom and putting that time into Eminem.
Yeah.
So you're 10 years sober, you're still in the club space. When in the club, well, let's talk about the hustle mentality. Let's take a pause before we go into CBC. The hustle mentality as a hustler, because I know promoting's hard. Right? You used to be in the club space.
Harder and harder every year.
What do you got to do different than all the other promoters? Because you've been around for a long time promoting. For all the newbie hustlers that are watching this, some of their wholesalers and doing side jobs and side hustles, what do you got to do to be different as a regular promoter?
I think you just got to find who you are and be happy and be able to brand your name out there, and don't always try to copy other people. Just be you, in a sense, and use the power of social media. I think for me, it's based on being transparent and being bold and speaking truth. And if you don't know something, just say you don't know it. Find out or figure it out.
In this promotion space, there's a lot of, pretty much every promoter I know, they drink, right? So for you not to drink, do you think you became a better promoter because you don't drink and you're sober and you're analyzing the business and you're analyzing how everything works, or you're at a disadvantage compared to other promoters because you're not drinking with the crowd?
It gives give or take with who you're talking to, meaning as in clientele. If you're talking to a bunch of 20-year-olds, you're not going to fit in because they want to get drunk and drink, but you talk to, business professionals and owners, they just want to have a good time. So for them to see you sober, that's, who they're going to deal with. They're not going to deal with someone that's drunk with them, but someone that can take care of them. So it just depends on the clientele.
The promotion and the concerts kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Biggest concert you did?
Biggest
as in attendance wise, and then biggest as in ROI wise.
Pauly D, DJ Pauly D. Yeah. And that was 1,400 people that attended, I believe. Sold out within 10 days, 40% return. So, yeah.
How was Pauly D himself?
Cool. Doesn't drink.
Doesn't drink?
Mm-mm. Pauly D just goes in, does his set, and leaves. He's there for business.
That's good. Well, he's been around for a long time.
And then James Kennedy, same thing.
Yeah.
Sold out, 40% return. Yeah.
Is that average, or how does that 40% work?
Based on whatever you invest in, So yeah.
That's a good return, right? A good return, 40% of your money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
What about
That's typically what, 6-week project?
Yeah, 6 weeks, 8 weeks project. So
what about like the headache celebrities, the headache individuals?
I mean,
like, man, that dude is tough to work with.
Offset.
What's the story on that one? I remember that now it's coming back to me.
Oh man.
Showed up late or something, I'm assuming.
Late,
maybe drunk.
Diva. Not drunk, just late. A diva. I didn't know all the details on it too as well. So I was just more of a talent buyer investor.
Mm.
So when you don't have full control of things, or you just don't know, then you just don't know. So looking back now, I probably should have kept it at 1902, but because we decided to move it to Smoke Sky Bar, I thought it was going to be better, because Smoke at that point was already doing concerts with hip hop and rappers like 50 Cent, Nelly, and all that, whatever. So to me, it just made sense. But then now looking back, again, you have to look at the timing. If you would have gone there early as you was supposed to, then maybe it would have been a little bit different story. And because he got there so late, that's the reason why I look at it now. It should have been at 1902 or Club, because people would have been entertained by the bottles and the service and the DJs and maybe a couple other people performing. So, but you learn, So that was probably the most challenging concerts that we did. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just learning.
How's concert space now?
As
your next artist
as a promotional partner,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I made a deal with the Social House Entertainment, and we are considered like quote unquote the hub for San Antonio Market for Tacos and Tequila Festival. So been with them for the last 3 years, and it's been a blessing to work with those guys, to learn, and they bring in huge artists. So this year we have 3-6 Mafia, Trina, Paul Wall. We have a lot of people on there, Mims. So pretty good.
What's your favorite 3-6 song?
Man, trying to think. Sipping, maybe.
That's old school.
Mm-hmm.
That's really old school. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're doing Tacos and Tequila, right? You got a 10-year sobriety, so a lot going on. I'm assuming with Tacos and Tequila, because I haven't been to it. I think last time you came here I was in town, but I do want to go check it out because it seems really, really cool.
Yeah.
That Tacos and Tequila, now you're doing more and more festivals, right?
Yeah.
How many festivals you got?
A little bit over 20.
20 festivals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's the thought process in, let's just say, doing too many festivals? Or is there no such thing?
No such
Or you want to do
thing.
more?
No such thing. I have more coming next year.
More?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lot of festivals.
When you find systems
Uh-huh.
and you have people in place, and again, it just goes based on systems and being structured. I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary. I'm just taking that food item and substituting it with another food item. So there's plenty of restaurants that are catered towards every single festival. Started the first festival 7 years ago with the brunch. So Brunch Festival is my baby, and that one's the most prestige one, and I love it. That's the only one that I change the theme, the music, and do different things for it. And then after that, I did, but back to backtrack on it, I was probably one of the first promoters in the city that did the day parties. Like, day parties are huge now, but I did that 15 years ago, and I have receipts on all of it. I would pick different restaurants and put a DJ and do 11 from 3. And back then, they used to have bottomless mimosas. So you had bottomless mimosas, you had a brunch buffet, you had a DJ. I tied it into a nonprofit organization to give back. So I was doing these smaller ones. And then finally, 7 years ago, I said, I want to do a big one. I said, man, let's do a brunch fest. And John, owning Alamo Biscuit Company, being my best friend, I hit him up and said, hey, I'm going to do a brunch festival and you're in it. I didn't ask him. I just said, you're in it. He said, okay. I said, damn, all right. And then after I made the announcement, said that they were going to be involved, then Magnolia Pancakes, Whiskey Cakes, Sangria on the Verge, like all these big names. And then we had all these other people that didn't know anything about them. So it was a really good turnout. And then every year since then, it's been great. And then I go based on what I eat. So I have to have one sweet per day. So I put the Sweets and Sugar Fest. I eat pizza every Sunday religiously. Put a pizza festival. But I would look at different markets. So San Antonio, in my opinion, is sleepy San Antonio. We're slow on everything, behind on everything. So when you look at the Pizza Fest, Dallas has it for like 7 years already. Austin, 5 years, 6 years. So you look at the market, you'd be like, damn, why is San Antonio being 1.5 million people in the city and surrounding areas? Why is it that we don't have it? We have outsiders coming into our city doing events. I'm against that unless they're bringing a big artist. Like, there's no reason why, this is one of my biggest pet peeve, there's no reason why people should be coming to our city doing a festival without bringing in major artists. No reason. If they're bringing a major artist, then by all means, let's go. Bring those people.
Besides Taco and Tequila's, which festival is that? What festival is coming into San Antonio?
There was a margarita festival that is here in San Antonio. That's same name, but I bought my name, but the guys are from Dallas, and they come into the market, and I already had a conversation with them already a couple of times. Told them, like, just stop doing it.
What'd they say?
They said no.
What'd you say?
Just wait to find out. That's it. You know, because I have everyone's back. You know, or everyone has my back in this city when it comes to the bars and the clubs. I could just make a phone call. I haven't done that. Will I? Probably. Because I don't think that if he wants to change the name legally, that's cool.
But what's the name? Margarita Fest?
San Antonio Margarita Fest. Mine's San Antonio Margarita Festival.
No, so that's the issue. So his is San Antonio Margarita Fest?
No, his is San Antonio Margarita Festival. Mine's San Antonio's Margarita Festival. So it's the same name besides the S on the San Antonios. But
the trademark or the DBA or something?
Yeah. So the point here is, if they would just either, it's not just this company, it's other companies that are coming in. It doesn't make sense why are the cities supporting it. But San Antonio is a weird market, though. Y'all should know that, you know, in certain ways. San Antonio sometimes support locals, sometimes they don't support local.
Oh, we know.
You know, that's what I'm saying. San
know.
Antonio, hey, I love my city, born and raised, but San Antonio be kind of weird on that stuff. That's why there's times where I say, and this may be giving it out, which I don't care, but I say sometimes we're bringing X, Y, and Z to San Antonio. I don't ever say this is coming from All Access. I say we bring to San Antonio, because now people have that thought process like, oh, wow, they're bringing it to San Antonio, when in reality, it's us doing it. But you'd be surprised how many more people will support it if we say we're bringing it, compared to saying, hey, we're just launching a new concept.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think the support's not there from San Antonio, in your opinion?
I think San Antonio sometimes has some haters, you know? That's just facts, you know? But I also think San Antonio just doesn't really get it at this moment. That's why it's sleepy San Antonio.
When you say they don't get it, what about those people that are just, I didn't know somebody from Dallas at a Margarita Festival. I just want a margarita.
Yeah, sometimes that happens too, you know? There's all types of angles on it, but I think San Antonio sometimes lacks support because they probably don't want to see people win, you know, in a sense. Not saying that's everyone, because I have nothing but a lot of support from everyone with the festivals. You know, I'm talking about other people that I see that try to do events that they don't get support. I'm just like, why am I not supporting them? For me, on a personal level, I get the support, but it's because I talk to everybody. You know, my phone's been going off right now during this podcast, and I'm good at giving people that respect to respond as quickly as possible. There's no such thing as being busy. You just prioritize people to where you see them at. You know, and because of and you have to take time to listen too. So when you have vendors speaking to you, you listen and pay attention. And, you know, I average about, let's say, 24 vendors that we can accept in our festivals. But then we have applications that come in for each festival. So that averages between 40 to 50. So if you do the math, 40 vendors that you talk to, right? And you have over 20 festivals, that's a lot of people I'm talking to. Like last year, I talked to over 400 owners. So my network is growing huge. And you just got to pay attention. So again, on a personal level, I get a lot of support. I get a lot of love from the city. When I speak that the city don't support sometimes, it's just based on what I hear. And I just, like even in the music industry, people don't support local artists here. It's like, why? Why do they have to move to California or to, you know, Florida or wherever? Why can't y'all just support the local artists here? Because I've been working with a lot of artists right now.
Who are you working with?
Right now I manage a young guy named Angel. So he's up and coming right now. So he does a lot of R&B and pop. And so took him a while to convince me, but now I'm managing him. So, but then I have other artists that are part of my team that I'm putting them on the festivals, giving them that platform to get heard, you know? So it's been a blessing.
Yeah, the festival's really cool. What you guys got there?
Speaking of people like to hate in San Antonio, somebody that you and I know, Chloe, you know him too, Adrian at Smoke. You've done a lot of business over the years with the concerts and the festivals. I think I was a judge
You were.
at the Brunch Fest that was there at Smoke. Speaking of people who like to hate on people, Adrian, I feel like gets a very bad rap, and obviously he's going through a bunch of stuff right now. How's your relationship been with him and Smoke Skybar?
Let me ask you something. You ever thought about investing in real estate but assumed you needed perfect credit, a huge savings account, or a bank willing to say yes? That's exactly why we're excited to partner with our guy Mike Leva at Conventus. Conventus is a real estate lender built specifically for investors and not homeowners. They help people fund deals like fix and flips, buy and hold rentals, and even ground up construction. And here's the part most beginners don't realize. Conventus doesn't lend based on your W-2 income or your personal credit score. They focus on the deal itself, the value of the property, and the numbers behind it. That means investors can often access higher loan amounts and more flexible terms than a traditional bank, sometimes with rates that are more competitive than people expect. So, instead of asking, do I qualify? The better question becomes, is this a good deal? If you're serious about getting into real estate investing and want a funding partner that truly understands investors, reach out to our go-to guy at Conventus, Mike Leva, today using the link in the show notes and see how real estate investors are actually getting deals funded.
I like Adrian. Him and I are friends. So, and sometimes people could look at that the wrong way and say, oh my gosh, you're friends with Adrian. And be like, he's never done anything wrong to me.
Yeah.
He's been very supportive. So, and then people are like, well, how come you don't do the festivals there anymore? I was like, because we outgrew the venue.
Yeah.
You know, Social Spot, shout out to the guys, Jorge and Sergio. They reached out to us and showed us the layout, made a really good deal, and we have 17 festivals over there. So yeah, when you outgrow a venue, you just outgrow a venue, you know, and eventually we may outgrow Social Spot, you know.
Take it a step back. So go all the way back. You had the original Felony, and then your friend John told you about promoting clubs. How did you actually take the initiative to get started? Because I know that's probably, 2010, 12-ish?
Yeah, something like
So it's a different time frame. It's not like it is now. There's no social media. You came up in the Eric Morgan days. I want to say Scott was still promoting.
Scott Maloof, yeah, all of them. We all grew, like we all had our territories. You know, I always tell people, and this is just for kicks and giggles, but I always say I was in the North, which is Stone Oak,
right.
And I considered Stone Oak was the major league.
Right.
And I consider everything was like the minor leagues. If you weren't promoting the Stone Oak area, then you weren't as big as a promoter. Yeah. And I think it just based on what I was told to do was go out every night, go shake hands, and then have flyers and do the traditional. I still do that to this day.
But from a business standpoint, because I remember when I first met you, we haven't known each other that long, but 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
You were in with the owners of Hotel Discotheque, was the top club in the city. You were friends with David, who owned Lush, the place that I buy. You were friends with all the top owners. How do you go from just going out every night getting drinks to now you're working for and know on a personal friend level with like the owners and stuff? How does that transition happen?
Based on not taking advantage of the owners and thinking about the clubs first and not yourself. So as a promoter, I wasn't the typical person that says, hey, I need 5 comp bottles and I need $100 bar tab and I need this and this. No, it's like you ask questions. How can I help you? How can I serve a purpose into your club too as well? What is it that we can do to work together? So if back in the day, Salito Lindo, I was promoting there, and we did a Sky Vodka. I don't even know if that's even around to this day. Is Sky Vodka around?
Still around, yeah.
Still around, okay. So that used to be the popular bottles back then, and it shows my age. But we were doing, let's just say $50 bottles, right, for Sky Vodka bottles before midnight. And so I would ask the club owner, be like, hey, how much is this bottle and at your cost? And they just say they said $15. All right, well then let me buy 5 of those at 15 at your cost so that you're not losing anything. Like you're breaking even with me. Really? Yes. All right, cool. And that's what would happen. I would pay for the bottles that I was giving to my clientele. And another thing I did differently was I started a point system. So back in the day, in one of my business cards, I didn't bring my wallet in here, but I keep the business card in my wallet, and it says book smart, get rewarded. So if Mike is one of my regulars and he's spending $2,000, $1,000, $3,000, I start tracking down how much you spent. And I write it down. I would show the club owner and be like, man, this guy spent like $5,000 in 1 month. Like, this is what I want to do for them. This. And then I would pay for some stuff. And in the club stall, they're like, shit, that's a good client. I was like, yes. So then I would reward them. So in my business card, it says book smart, get rewarded. And I started this point system with every single club. And then also I couldn't be everywhere. So I wrote contracts with every single club that I couldn't be there on that night. So I had a residency on a Friday night at somewhere, but say you just wanted to go to 2 different clubs. Most promoters have to convince you to go to their club. I was like, no, you want to go here? All right, you're going to go here. And you want to go there? You're going to go there. I talked to those owners, hey, I'm here, but I'm bringing you clientele. So we need to figure out a percentage of my clientele what I'm getting. And I would type them a contract. And then they sign, and then they all you just do business the right way, and that's why I have a lot of the club owners have respect for me because I never did anything shady. I never try to steal. I never try to undercut their minds or anything like that. I just try to help. And if I stopped promoting, it was just based on the people that were going in there, the clientele. Like, don't get me wrong, I like going to the hood bars and all that. I'm there till this day.
Right.
But would I promote it? No, because it's not my clientele, So even with the new clubs nowadays, I just got 3 different places recently hit me up and they wanted me to come promote for them. I was just like, no, I'm done with the promoting the clubs. So I transitioned to the festivals.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. How did you transition? What's the transition? Because you were from 2000 and call it 10, 12, all the way to pretty recent. I mean, I got started in 2021, and you were still pretty active at Hotel before they had the transformation. So what was the big switch from you? How did you even get into the festivals?
Based on just thinking about brunch, it was really just the love for brunch. The love for brunch and doing smaller events to where Adrian and I were at one of his locations and in his basement bar. And we were just talking, and I just said, man, I really want to do a brunch festival. He said, let's do it here. Let's do it in 2 months. And then he goes, you have the connections? I was like, yeah. And then obviously having a best friend that owns one of the most popular brunch restaurants, so I was like, yeah. So we did it, Granted, I didn't know SA Current, shout out to SA Current, has their own brunch event, which is called United We Brunch. So I found out based on Kins 5 mixed our events together. Some way, somehow, they just mixed it. And then that's when I was told, hey, there's already a brunch event, but it's not called San Antonio's Brunch Festival. It's called United Rebrunch. And if I'm not mistaken, if I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but I believe United Way is a nonprofit, and that was their way of launching this event. And I don't know if that's correct. I think I remember that part. So when I thought of the concept of the brunch festival, I actually had so many different names. And then finally I said, wait, why don't we just give it to the San Antonio? Like, why not just San Antonio Brunch Fest?
It's a much better name, by the way. Than
Yeah.
United We Brunch.
Yeah. And so it just worked. And everyone loves brunch. So
What are the festival coming up that you're really excited for?
this Saturday, March 14th, the first ever Hot Cheeto Festival. So you're talking about 16 different Hot Cheeto vendors that are using hot Cheetos to infuse into their snacks. So that's gonna be. It should for jokes. It should be called the Hood Rat Festival, but you know.
What are some of the foods items that's infused with hot Cheetos?
You're talking about like chicken on a stick with hot Cheetos. You're talking about hot dogs with hot Cheetos. You're talking about chamoy pickle with hot Cheetos. You're talking about Cheetos with hot cheese. Like there's so many different ways of having hot Cheetos.
When you walk in the door, they're going to be handing out the big gold hoop earrings.
Yep.
San Antonio really loves their hot Cheetos.
So
Okay,
yeah,
that
that's
one's coming up.
That's coming up March 14th, and then we have the third annual Taste of the Medical Center inspired unofficial fiesta event on the property of Alamo Biscuit Company. So it's our third year doing that. We have a Nashville country star named Tay Lewis. He's going to be headlining. So shout out to my business partner Blake. Shout out to my business partner Blake. Him and I are doing a country festival later on this year in October, and then after that we have the steak festival.
That's the one.
Now we're talking.
There you
Now
go.
we're talking.
The steak festival. You know,
Consider me a steak expert.
So yes, and you will be a judge. There we go. Mike will be a
Excited
judge.
for that, man.
You know, for the steak festival. So that's April 25th, I think, on the Saturday. So yeah.
So how does that work? Like when it comes to a steak, I don't know how much you can share on the podcast, but when it comes to a steak festival, who is going to be there? How does it work for the people? How does it work for the restaurants?
So restaurants, absolutely no vendor fee. Any of my festivals, absolutely no vendor fee. Your investment is to provide samples. So if we're talking about steak festival, then you cut up, different steaks and you put them in a 4-ounce tray and you're sampling those out. And you're allowing the audience to go ahead and taste it. And, this I was actually inspired by Taste of Northside. So Taste of Northside, I absolutely love that event. It is more in the upscale bougie, they're $250 for the tickets. So I actually like that concept. When I would go, shout out to Hetty with Social House. I used to do the after parties at his lounge in Stone Oak, and we would do the pre-party and the after party there. And we would go and, I would just get in and it was just a lot of fun. And I liked their concept. And I remember just talking to the vendors. They're like, yeah, we don't pay a fee and we sample out. And then John participated with BurgerFi when he had that. So he told me the same thing. I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. So then it's marketing, at the end of the day. So even if you're a pop-up or a food truck or even a nice restaurant, you can't say no to marketing. You can't say no to being in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. You always have to market yourself. I mean, look, you brand yourself every day. It's all about branding. So it's all about networking and building relationships. You're one person away that can change your life. It is pop-up. They join. You may like it to say, hey, let's open up a steak restaurant, So, I mean, I don't think I'll do that again, but
A lot of work having a steak restaurant.
yeah.
But steak, man, I love steak. So how does it work? So people come in, we're gonna try different steaks.
Yep.
Now the people get like a People's Choice Award. Do they get to?
Yeah,
They do.
Yeah, so there will be a People's Choice Award and then judges. So you're one of the judges. So we will have a panel of judges where they get to taste all the steaks, and then they have a scorecard. So you get to rate who you like the most. And then the people get a voting ticket, and every booth has a voting box, and you get to go ahead and taste all the steaks, and then you get to put the vote in there. and then there would be first, second, and third place for each category.
How many steak vendors are we expecting?
As of right now, I want to say 8. I want about 16.
Yeah, we're still far away.
You know, we're a month away, but I want at least 16. You know, we have 16 Hot Cheeto vendors, so 16 is the magic number to have for any of the festivals. It doesn't matter if it's the steak, to where it's the chicken wing festival, the fried chicken festival, the burger, the sushi. So the magic number is 16 of really good vendors that want to compete. And again, it doesn't matter if you're, you know, a restaurant. If you have a passion for cooking and you're just wanting to get your name out there, we want you. You know, as long as you have the canopy, as long as you have your tables, as an organizer, anybody that does an event, you as an organizer have to go and get your food permits, your temporary food permits. So I go register those, and then I tell the vendor, here's $40 or the $40 I spent, just reimburse it, and that's it. You know, so if they're selling, but typically, if I would encourage people, if they did want to start their own events, just have vendors do samples, because then you avoid all of that other stuff, because you're not doing anything but sampling. So, and then you got to also think about it this way too. If nobody knows who you are, then how are they going to know if they're going to like it or not? Why do you think H-E-B and Costco are so smart during the weekends? I mean, H-E-B gets me all the time with chips and salsa. Every time I'm out there shopping, they have a new bag, a new salsa, and here you go, here's your free sample. You're not going to say no. I mean, like, yeah. And then be like, damn, I'll get this too. Put it in my cart. So some vendors understand, some vendors don't. To each his own, you know, and some vendors don't want to join because it's a friendly competition. So they don't want to lose. And I experienced that the first year with the Brunch Fest. So a lot of the high-end names that didn't place first, second, or third place and lost against people that they didn't know or nobody knew, they took it that personal. So they didn't come back.
How many judges typically are per festival?
Anywhere between minimum 3, max 5. So yeah,
good different variety. No one's biased. They're all just tasting the steak.
Yeah, no one's biased. You know, I mean, that also depends if you know the vendors. You know, if you actually know the vendors, then that's on you. You know, all I can tell is that nothing's rigged on my end, because I don't vote ever. I've never voted for a festival.
They're being judged by a panel of their peers.
Yeah. So, and then I mean, also the People's Choice Award. You know, that's more of a popularity contest in a way. So if you are 1, 2, 3 steaks and you have 100 people supporting you, what do you think is going to happen? You think those 100 people are going to vote for someone else? No, it's at the end of the day, we all have to do the marketing and the promoting and try to get our people in there. So, and that's why this way, what I've learned from my other festivals is every vendor, they get 50 tickets to where they can sell them, and they could keep 100% of those sales. And so a lot of people are like, wait, why are you giving the vendors 100%? I said, because they're investing their time and they're sampling out. I was like, I want them to make money. These festivals are not always target for them to make money. They're to network, build a relationship, and to get their name out there. So for me, I was like, if I give them 50 tickets, and just say hypothetically, just using this number, not saying that this is what they charge, but let's just say they use $25, right, for a VIP ticket. That's $1,250 that they can make off the back by selling that. So then you have 20 vendors with 50 tickets. That's 1,000 people. On top of that, I give them X amount of complimentary tickets. So it's a volume for me. I look at volume when it comes to festivals. Anybody that's putting events together, stop looking at the numbers of what the tickets cost and what you potentially can get. Don't look at it that way. People think, I have an event, I'm going to charge $55, and 1,000 people are going to be there. I'm going to make $55,000 on that event. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Unless you have a big artist or a big attraction, then it will work. But if you're doing everything locally, it doesn't work like that.
Well, I will tell you, man, I am excited for this steak festival. And
yeah.
I don't know who the...
That's a free game too, y'all.
I don't know who the competition is, but it's open to anyone with steaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone told me that Sugars, with their steak and fries, should be part of this competition.
You told yourself that.
Sugars has steak and fries, and that's what it is. And then steak is a steak.
The steak's a steak, man. If Sugars wanted to fill out the application for it, I mean, I don't see why not. You
hear
know
that, Sugars?
You hear that, Sugars? You got a sponsor
Like
right
you have
here.
a direct line to
He's like, I'll speed dial them right now.
So
I'll
that's
sign them
cool.
up right now.
So you got people like Sugars where people won't expect a steak from Sugars, but they do have steaks. You got to have your prime steakhouses. I don't know who's all, and I kind of want to be blind to it until the day I showed up, right? I don't want to be biased or whatever. So I'm really looking forward to that steak. Now, for you to have all these festivals, as the hustle mindset, how do you run smoothly 20 different festivals as a hustler, as an entrepreneur, and as a promoter all in once?
Systems. Got to be disciplined. You got to have structure. You all know that as hustlers yourselves. You got to wake up, got to sleep less, got to have patterns, routines. You have to have the right people that see the vision. Shout out to my entire team. 40 plus people.
40 plus people?
Yeah, 40 plus people.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of promoters and DJs and artists, that are part of the team. And they have that driven. They have that drive, and they believe in the vision, They all can make a lot of money. So it just depends on having the right people.
Do you have one specific event coordinator that helps with all of them? Are you the head of events, or who does all the coordinating?
So I have people, I delegate some of the work, yes. So Aja Brown, shout out to her, my event content director. So she helps a lot. Then we have Kevin McGee. He has this platform called Where We At. So content creator as well with food. And then, we have AR. She handles all the, she does her own set of artists in different events. So it allows me to learn who the artists are in San Antonio. Then entertainment director, DJ Mystic. And he handles all the DJs that are part of the events and also the artists and bands. So everyone, it goes down to different people that have different jobs of what they have to do. And then, of course, my videographers and photographers and my marketing team. So yes, I don't do everything. No, I just oversee everything and make sure everything's smooth. And then, just be the one that's there to help guide them so that they can close deals or just continue to build these relationships. So I'm trying to teach everyone to understand, like, if you're bringing in a vendor, like, you be responsible for that vendor. I'll do the talking, but at the end of the day, that's your relationship that you're going to build strong. So you don't have to worry about, oh, man, they're always talking to me. No, because I can't talk to 400 plus people all the time.
Right. Well, it seems like you really had this whole thing patted down. It's years of experience. You took what you learned from the promotion side and applied it to the festival. And it's really good for the city, man, because someone like you doing 20 plus festivals in the city, all different, from hot Cheetos to steaks to brunch to all kinds of stuff, man. It's really cool to see. Now, earlier we kind of took a pause on CBC. How'd you find out about CBC, and what's your role at CBC, if there is one?
Role is just to be, there to get people in there. I was, you hear the term bar hopping. I was church hopping. So I was going to different church, and this is when my mom passed away, and I wanted to find a church. A friend of mine, Vanessa, invited me to CBC. I didn't know that was considered a mega church. I did not know that because I didn't grow up in, a Christian church, Catholic, but I didn't know that was considered a mega church. And I remember Robert Emmett being the pastor, and he had a really good service. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be here. Second time he goes and says he's going to retire. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm going to go church hopping again. So the third time he introduces Pastor Ed. And before Pastor Ed even spoke, I just liked his swag. I was like, dang, I like his swag. And then he starts speaking. He articulates his words. He makes you feel he's talking to you directly. It doesn't matter what age group you're in. And I made it a point to meet him. And I met him. And then one day we ran into each other outside of church and got his number and just started building a really close relationship with him. And so Pastor Ed's been a huge part of my life, and CBC's been a big part of my life too as well. So I'm blessed on that part. When you're in your early age in the club scene, you want to get to know all the club owners. Getting older now, you just want to get closer to God and closer with your family and closer with the more important things in life. And so for me, it's been a blessing. And I remember one time, after the club, I would always be the one telling the people, where you're going to go tomorrow. I would convince them to go to CBC. And then Pastor Ed, during the service, he was like, man, there's a club promoter telling people to go to service, to CBC, whoever you are. And I wasn't there that day, And I remember my friends texting me like, "Hey man, did you see Pastor Harris talking about that promoter telling people to go
That's
to church?"
really cool.
That was me. So
Well, it's definitely cool, man, to see full circle from Troubled
Yeah.
Kid when we first started to the felonies to the 8 arrest to
yeah,
the 20 festivals to now, going to CBC and really promoting CBC and using that as your influence to the city and really getting people closer to God. Now, this is Turn Up the Hustle podcast, right? So Turn Up the Hustle to me, it's not a slogan, it's a way of life.
Mhm.
What does Turn Up the Hustle mean to Mike Anthony?
Be real at all times and be transparent and be accountable. Like just be real. To me, I think that if you have discipline, consistency, the right people around you, but also just being mindful of others and being transparent and being real, that should set it off. You can't be someone you're not. Be happy where you're at in life and find peace in your life. Whatever you do, just find peace and happiness.
Very well said. So for anybody who, if this is their first time seeing you, they want to go to a festival, they want to get in touch with you, they want to hire your marketing agency, your party bus company, how do they get in touch with you?
You can go ahead and text directly 210-677-5289. You can also find us on social media on Instagram and Facebook. The handle is All Access MA, and then you'll see all the festivals under the All Access brand. And then personal page is official MikeAnthony.Torres as well. And just before I get off, I just want to say thank you guys for inviting me to be on y'all's podcast. So it's really good setup. I like what y'all are doing. This is, I think San Antonio needs this. I think San Antonio needs people to learn from one another, not to judge people based on whatever they hear, but to sit down and really have real conversations that are not scripted and to really just dive into the conversation of meeting that person and who they are. Because a lot of times people around the circle of who we're in front of, people can say this and that about each other. But once you start sitting down and getting to know that person, it opens a different perspective in your life.
Definitely appreciate that. We've experienced that with a couple people we've had on already. You hear stigmas and you hear stuff around town of what they may be or what they may be like, and then you get to sit down for an hour or so and have a conversation. So it definitely is cool to see everybody's.
So you're judging steak. Which one are you going to judge this year?
You tell me.
All
Cheetos,
right.
pizza. No, I do Hot Cheetos. I'll do the pizza.
Pizza, man. We have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles there all the time. So that one's fun. But also we tie in nonprofit organizations throughout the entire year. So if y'all know any good nonprofit organizations, please let us know because that's part of the CARES program that we have. We give a portion back to every single nonprofit after the festivals. And then we invite everyone at the end of the year to our gala. So
nice. We'll definitely be there. Okay, count us in. So, well, sounds good. We appreciate you joining on this episode. And for you viewers that are out there watching, we appreciate you watching another great episode of the Turn Up the Hustle podcast. Make sure that you always like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing here. And as always, make sure to turn up the hustle. We will see you on the next one.